Have you ever really stopped to think about what lasts? I mean, what we leave behind that actually survives for centuries or even millennia? Well, today, we're going to dive deep into that exact question, and our guide is this incredible essay by Aizu Yaichi called A Piece of Stone. Okay, so since the beginning of, well, pretty much everything, we humans have had this one material we trusted more than any other to carry our stories into the future. And that's stone, right? We have this deep, almost gut feeling that if you carve something in stone, it's permanent, it's forever. And you can see this faith everywhere. Just look at what we build from it. We choose stone for our most important things. The tombs for our dead, the temples for our gods, the giant statues of our heroes, the walls around our greatest cities. We literally pour all our hopes for immortality into this one seemingly indestructible material. But here's the twist, and it's the whole point of our story today. Stone is not nearly as tough as we think it is. It's actually surprisingly fragile. It's not the faithful guardian of our memories we all believe it to be. In fact, the wind, the rain, even our own hands, they're all constantly working to wipe it clean. And the scale of this loss is it's mind-boggling. Think about this. During China's Han Dynasty, thousands of these incredible stone monuments, they're called steles, were put up. Today, in all of China, you know how many are left? About 100. Just 100. The rest? Gone, weathered away, broken, or just completely lost to time. So this brings us to this amazing story from the Jin Dynasty, way back in 3rd century China. It's about two brilliant officials who were both obsessed with this very problem. They both desperately wanted to be remembered, but they placed their bets on two totally different strategies for cheating oblivion.
On one side, you've got Yang Hu. This guy was a truly beloved and virtuous leader. His whole philosophy was, if I live a good life, people's love and memories of me, that will be my monument. His legacy was all about emotion. But then, you have his contemporary, Du Yu. He was much more pragmatic, way more strategic. He wasn't about to leave his legacy to something as fickle as feelings. No, he had a plan. A really clever plan.
So after Yang Hu died, the people he'd governed were just so grateful that they built this beautiful monument for him on his favorite mountain, Mount Xian. And get this, it was said that anyone who came and read the inscription about his good deeds was so moved that they would just start to cry. So naturally, it became known as the Stele of Falling Tears. Now, Du Yu sees this and decides, okay, I'm taking matters into my own hands. He commissions two identical steles, listing his own accomplishments. He puts the first one right up on Mount Xian, pretty close to Yang Hu's famous monument. But the second one, he has it sunk into the deepest part of the Han River. And his logic here, it's just wild. He figured if some massive cataclysm ever sinks the entire mountain, maybe, just maybe, the riverbed will one day rise up, and his backup legacy will be revealed to the world. A plan for every possibility.
So we have two plans on the table, one built on emotion, the other on pure logic. To see which one went out, we're going to follow the journey of Yang Hu's famous stele. And for that, we have to jump forward in time about 450 years, all the way to the Tang Dynasty.
Hundreds of years later, the famous poet Meng Horan climbs Mount Xian. He finds the monument, and he's so completely overcome with emotion that he writes this famous line. I mean, it seems like Yang Hu's bet totally paid off, right? His legacy is so powerful it can still make a grown man weep almost 5 centuries later. But then, just a few years later, another legendary poet, Li Bai, visits the very same spot. He sees the stele too, but his description is, different. He notes that it's all covered in moss and is badly worn away. We're starting to see the first signs of trouble for our big stone monument. And this is where the story gets really interesting. You have two of the greatest poets of their time visiting the same spot only years apart, and they're describing it so differently, which leads to the all-important question, what were they actually looking at? And here's the truth, the big reveal. The stele that those poets saw, it wasn't the original one. Nope. The first monument lasted only 272 years before it was so worn down it had to be completely recarved. The poets were admiring a copy, and a copy that was already falling apart. Later, even that copy got replaced by a third version, and today, all three of them, every single one, they're gone, vanished, So what in the world happened? What about Yanghu's emotional legacy? And what about Du Yu's super clever two-steel backup plan? Well, this is the final act of our story, where we see how it all played out. When you lay it all out, the result is, well, it's stunningly clear. The stone monuments were a total failure. For both of them, all three of Yanghu's stelaes disappeared. Both of Du Yu's steles are lost forever, one on a mountain and one at the bottom of a river. And yet, their legacies did endure. The story of Yanghu, written down in historical texts, it survives. And Du Yu's brilliant scholarly work, his Zuo commentary, is still studied to this day. And this right here is the great paradox of the whole thing. The only reason we even know this incredible story about these failing stone monuments is because someone wrote it down on something we think of as way more fragile: paper. The words outlasted the stone. The ideas proved to be so much stronger than the monuments that were built to hold them. So what does this ancient story really teach us about what lasts? What's the big takeaway from this humble piece of stone? At the end of the day, the lesson completely flips what we think we know. Stone, our ultimate symbol of permanence, turns out to be brittle, fleeting, and totally unreliable. But words, ideas, stories, the things we put on fragile paper with ink, they have this shocking resilience. They can be copied and spread and carried across time in a way that a heavy, immovable piece of stone never could. And that, of course, leaves us with a huge question for our own time, right? We don't carve in stone anymore. We save our legacies to servers, to clouds, to hard drives. So, what's our enduring word? What are the ideas and stories we're creating right now that are going to prove more resilient than the technology we're storing them on? It's something to think about.